All right, so we got assistant coach for Miami Heat, Malik. How you doing?
Good. Everything's good.
We're out here in Miami. I'm going to ask you a couple questions, kind of like your basketball background, this past finals run. How was it? You're from Jersey. How was it coming up in Jersey?
It was great. You know, the high school basketball sort of changed a lot since I was in high school, so you had a good balance of public and Catholic schools and stuff. So now it's shifted a bit, but my experience was great. It gave me a base in terms of my basketball career.
Sold you on Nova after because you did 4 years, right?
Yep. I actually knew. Number one, I was an East Coast kid. I knew I wanted to stay relatively close to home. I'm from Jersey, but I also spent a lot of time over in Philly. So a lot of the guys that were at Villanova at the time, like Alvin Williams, Jason Lawson, those guys, I had known them a little bit when I was young. There was a lot of crossover, and like I said, when I was a young guy, those guys welcomed me over there. So I had a familiarity with it. Obviously, the school had a lot of tradition, still had a lot of tradition at the time. They had success, so it just felt right. Like I said, especially I knew I wasn't going to be going out west or to the south. I just wanted to stay close to home. As far as my career there, I had to put in my time as a freshman. My second year, we struggled, and you had to do some deep digging, in terms of like trying to take a step to get better. And in my junior year, we made a big leap with the guys over there. And in my senior year, I had a good senior year. So for myself, the path that I had to take and the type of player I was, that's what I had to go through.
All the players there, they seem like they got Brunson, Josh Hart. I like the culture they built. They still seem like they're connected in some way. Even someone down to Eric Pascal. Yeah, like they all still. I like the culture they built there. It's really nice.
Yep. Those guys, especially from under Coach Wright, those guys are just super tight. Like I said, the same thing with us. Who were with Coach Lapp, we're all very tight, still speak, and then you just have that cool crossover, between kind of two eras. Yeah. Even Coach Wright was there for a long time, but so it's family.
After you did your 4 years, you went undrafted, I think, in 2000. How'd you get your first opportunity in the league? What was that?
Yeah, so it was actually here in Miami. So I played a year in the minor league. During that time, Miami had seen me play, and it kind of kept tabs on me, so I got an opportunity to come down for a free agent workout. My path was just very different than most people see in terms of the drafts coming up. I got a free agent workout, and they just kept asking me to stay. Sort of week by week, and then they offered me a contract, and I took it. And long story short, that was it. That's how I got my foot in the door. And then my first year here, I got an opportunity at the end of the season, finally, and I played well. It was like the last 6 games of the season. I played well. They picked up my option, and then next year I was starting on the team. And that's how I said how I got my foot in the door.
What was the transition like from going from a player to coach? I kind of asked you about that. But
yeah, no, I was very fortunate. So Stan Van Gundy was a coach. He was a coach of mine here, and then I finished with my career in Orlando when he was the coach. We had stayed very close. During that time, they just I started just asking about, what does it entail, and we stayed in contact. And then I got an opportunity. He got hired to Detroit, and he got an opportunity to I got an opportunity to go on his staff, and my experience was pretty cool because it takes probably a lot of confidence from a coach. He just gave me the playbook and wanted me to go through it and give him what I thought. And I'm looking at this thing, it was like, so, and he had been to finals, Eastern Conference, by that time. And but that was my introduction, and it was a crash course, but, I put everything into it, studied, and I just had an opportunity to learn under a lot of great coaches at the time. It was him, obviously, as the head coach, but then it had Brendan Malone, whose son, Mike, had just won with Denver, but Coach Malone was an assistant with Chuck Daly and the Bad Boys teams. So there was just a lot of experience on that team from a coaching standpoint that sort of embraced me. And, along with your players always teach you, at the end of the day, they teach you what your strengths and weaknesses are, where you can grow. But those guys really embraced me as a young coach trying to find my way, and sort of fast tracked me. And that's and sort of similar as a player, like that's how I got my foot in the door, and I loved it. But part of it again was just having those guys as mentors to help me along, to really enjoy that side of it too. Because it's a different world for sure when you're coaching. Other guys.
Yeah, and then now coaching the Heat and the amazing culture they built. I have to ask, like, this finals run, what was like the mindset you guys got the players in? Because y'all went from like a play-in all the way to the finals. That's
so I think like
crazy.
The players always have belief. We went through a year of injuries and up and down, up until literally we get into the series with Milwaukee first game. One of our key players, Tyler, broke his hand, totally freaked in. But guys had big time belief. I think that's a big part of the guys who we do have here and look to bring in. Skill is great, but you got to have toughness and belief. Mm-hmm. And they had that, and we just knew if we had an opportunity to sort of like dig in a series, we would have an opportunity to compete and make it tough. And that was it. Not win or anything like that, but just compete, make it tough, on a nightly basis. And, we had big time performances along the way. But I would say it was a big time cumulative mindset with the group that never wavered. You always have ups and downs of a season, but it just never wavered. And then, again, you get into a series where you kind of try to lock in day in and day out. They sort of embrace that.
And then just watching like how more and more connected they got as the finals, so not even the finals, like each series went on. I could tell like there was like a confidence boost, like each series y'all won.
Yeah.
From the play.
No, that's the biggest thing. Like I said, there's no guarantee you're going to win or lose. It's just can you keep digging in and get tighter as a group, and that takes work, and it takes trust, and it takes belief. And they just kept doing it and picking each other up. And that was a cool thing, to see as a former player, but also now as a coach. You saw that, and it was really great to see, because it's a great group of guys, and they put a lot in this year, and when they go on a run, it wasn't what we ultimately wanted in winning, but they definitely achieved, and they saw what they could achieve when you really, like I said, as a group. You put your 10 toes down in the ground, and you work, and you stay connected, and you execute together.
Sure. Man, thank you. Appreciate you doing this. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
No, appreciate it, man.
You didn't have
anytime.
To do this.
No,
Thank
anytime,
you so
man.
much.
Yep.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.